has examined it with all its technical experts and look at the pros and cons and found out that for it to be implemented in its present
Jamaica Labour Party. This is Lead Story, and we start now. You're back with us. We're on Lead Story, of course. It's CVM TV, and we're welcoming our special guest, Deputy Prime Minister of Jamaica, Minister of National Security, and General Secretary of the Jamaica Labour Party, Dr. Horace Chang. Minister, good evening.
Good evening to you, Sanjay.
Good having you on.
Good with you.
It's good having you on, Minister. Now, for the first half of the show, I was instructed, I won't say I decided, I was instructed to focus on the election and the period that we're in. For the second half, we'll go a little bit into the national security portfolio which you hold, Minister. But first of all, we're in election season. I'm driving up and down and I'm seeing the different flags and the placards, and people are rearing and ready to go. Everybody now, you're seeing armbands with a green or orange. But what stood out from you recently, Dr. Chang, is that you said to the nation, I would say on a platform, that the elections will go no later than September. So is it that you're here to tell us the date of the election this evening, Dr. Chang?
The date is still the privilege of the Prime Minister and leader of the party. But the Constitution does indicate we have no longer than mid-September. And this government will not make, there's no reason for the government to go beyond the constitutional due date.
So, based on that statement, Dr. Chang, you're saying now that the Jamaica Labour Party, settling its 63 candidates across the island from Westmoreland going all the way into St. Thomas, are you saying the JLP is ready for this proverbial third term?
We're ready for the election. Once the Prime Minister calls, he has asked us to be prepared. He has given instruction to the Secretariat, and we have carried out those instructions to ensure constituents. Not only we have the candidates, but we have the candidates who are prepared, and ensure the constituency organization is prepared, because this is a general election. We have to have the representatives who will be elected, but the Labour Party and the party machinery, which is the base for democracy, because that's what involves the grassroots of the country, involves all sectors of society, have to be engaged and be involved in what is an election, and that means organizing them to take responsibility for supporters and get them to the poll. And the machinery of their party is ready to go indicate.
So 2016 saw a very tight margin of victory. 2020, a wide margin of victory. If any researcher, any political analyst were to sit down and look at the numbers, they'll give us the reasons why 2020 was very different from 2016. Based on your experience, Dr. Chang, how is it looking from your internal information on where you see the election shaping up? Some are saying it's 35 to 38 for whichever party that wins the election.
No, we are confident we have a comfortable majority. The fact is that although 2020 was an aberration in normal terms of activity, but 2020 also demonstrated a number of things which will assist us in this election. First of all, 2020 came during COVID when the leadership of Andrew Holness stood out. It's not a debate. It's not debatable. The Andrew Holness led this country in a distinguished way during the challenge of the COVID pandemic. And I think the people of the country recall that, and so it led to an affirmation of his leadership at the time of the election in 2020. So we understand that many of the traditional supporters of the people have stayed home, and they're now thinking the times are relatively normal, the economy is stronger, crime is down, etc. The primary challenges are not on the forefront of the people's mind, and therefore government don't have to look in that direction. There are still all the challenges to deal with infrastructure, etc., which came out of a time when the economy was in shambles. and we have just started to repair that. So, but in that kind of atmosphere, it's kind of almost, improved, but relatively normal atmosphere, and they figure it is time for their party to get a chance, so they're going to go and then they come out to vote. So you'd expect a little bit more competitiveness from the PNP, and they've been campaigning, in fact, for the last 3 years.
3 years
since the election of their leader. Yeah, they have been on the road campaigning. They have been constantly campaigning, and I guess they haven't done much else but to campaign. So we expect that pull some of their voters out.
All right, let me take a break, Dr. Chang, and we'll come back with this part of the conversation. Your lead story. Stick with us. If you're just joining us, I have with me Dr. Horace Chang, who is our Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of National Security, and General Secretary of the Jamaica Labour Party. All the JLP's successes over the past 9 years were documented in a book, and the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Dr. Andrew Holness, was in a number of spots in the metropolitan area handing out those booklets himself. Dr. Chang, I didn't catch a glimpse of you. I don't know if you're in St. James, but I got a glimpse of many politicians across the island handing out those booklets. Now, in my commentary about those booklets, I sat back and I thought of it, and I know there would have been a lot of brouhaha about that move by the Prime Minister, because some are saying he's in that seat of power. Why is he campaigning like he's in opposition? But that leads me to the question, Dr. Chang, is it necessary now that, as you said, the competitiveness is increased, the supporters of the People's National Party, they've been fed for 3 years with material, from meetings to, just talks on the street side. Is it that time where the JLP is going to buckle down, campaign like it's never campaigned before to achieve this third term?
Well, first of all, campaigning is a necessary part of the democratic process. Respect that, and unless you campaign, the citizens will not necessarily be motivated to align themselves. So campaigning has to be a part of democracy. That's what the base of our democracy. Engage your population, ensure they understand why they're supporting the party. For our own workers, we did a motivational activity in the recognition of workers, which is said is the true guardian of democracy in our country, is that the population at that level all respect, recognize, and support the electoral process. But the opposition I'm not been impressed, although they've been campaigning so long, and I don't think they've got the kind of connection they're looking for, because they have not brought anything new to the table. This part of their playbook is to attack the party leader. They have no policy, they have given no new policy direction, any innovative policy direction. Their own response to the government's and the Labour Party's performance and achievement is a rehash of the old. Essentially, because summarize the opposition party is going backwards and the Labour Party is going to the future. And in today's world, at the rate of change, you have to look to the future and future-proof your program. We have stabilized the economy, and in fact have increased the per capita income significantly, although it's still very low and definitely too low, and part of our mission is to increase that level. The two big challenges the country had faced really at the very forefront of the crime and the economic instability. We have effectively dealt with those two, and we now have to look at how we can improve the infrastructure and strengthen our education systems to ensure we can build on the infrastructure we are building out, as well as to capitalize on the opportunities created by the peace that we have created. So the object is to move forward, and we have to lay out before the community what we have done and the achievements we have. Let me give an example of how it is necessary to campaign. Before the Labour Party published the Book of Achievement, in last budget, my ministry put out a document on the success we have had. But the only thing that drives the mood in the country is the homicide numbers. We did a booklet, it was about 50 pages or 60 pages. Half of it was on crime prevention. We get attacked from time to time that we do not take into concert any activity in social prevention. The major policy we made on the crime prevention front, very simple and necessary, and of course common sense. that we have to mainstream crime prevention if we're going to successfully deal with the social problems. Can't be left out to small bodies called NGOs here and there, doing small things here and there. It's systemic. We have to look quite strongly at the education system. We have to look at the community, capture the communities that are, challenged, and begin to address the challenges in those communities, which we are doing extensively on the zone of special operation. That can't be done by the bodies who claim they're doing social intervention across the country. They can work with the government, but the government have to lead when you have this kind of major social deterioration in the community.
I see that you're getting into crime, Dr. Chang. You're preempting me in getting into crime, but what I'll ask you in the minute that I have before we go to the break, in this minute, I want to ask you, based on what has been done over the last couple of years as it relates to investment in national security, do you see the people of Jamaica accepting the successes as a very important part of the campaign? Well, think on that, and when we come back from the break, you answer that one for me. You're back with us. It's Lead Story. If you're just joining us, I'm talking to the Minister of National Security, Deputy Prime Minister, General Secretary of the Jamaica Labour Party. It's a man that has a lot of roles. If you didn't know as well, Dr. Chang is also a medical doctor. That is where it all started. And of course, now you know him as your Minister of National Security. I was asking him before we went to the break, and of course, a very important question, if he believes that the population will take into account the crime reduction figures, the murder reduction figures, as they consider going to the polls. Over to you, Dr. Chang.
Of course, the Jamaican electorate, a very mature electorate. The question must be answered going forward after 20 years of horrendous violence, high murder rates. Do you want to keep the murder rates low? Do you want to keep the decrease in violence? Do you want to increase public order? Do you want public safety? Do you want to maintain the quality of the environment in some communities where you have normalcy returning, normalcy being entertainment, church going, prayer meetings, sports, etc.? The answer to that is the only one answer to that. It's impatient debate. Yes, every sense of Jamaica, all Jamaicans, every citizen in Jamaica will say yes to that. And if say yes to that, the only one choice you have is vote for the Jamaica Labour Party. It's not a debate. The record of the PNP is disastrous. The minister, who is a very intelligent gentleman, capable, trained engineer, gave up all hope. No, we are a Christian country. I'm asking for as we say many times, without faith, you have very little to move on. But when you say it the way he said it, it's like you throw up your hands, nothing can be done. Help me, Lord. So that was the attitude of the PNP. That was their policy. When we started to set about the plan to improve the police force and to provide the resources that they required to function, they attacked us mercilessly. If it wasn't for the courage, the political will of Andrew Holness, the support he gave to me as a minister, that I could stay the course and do the work, we'd still be in problems trying to find what they used to call squads in the police to go shoot down somebody here or have some Starboard police gangs spreading over the place. That's changed. And the country wants that to stay. Crime was the top problem of the country for years upon years. Now it is almost appearing to be normal. We know it's not yet there. And they understand that. And they need us to continue the programs to get there. And we are confident they will respond positively. In addition to that, of course, we have taken the steps to ensure the political machinery that I have and respond for, and the Jamaica Labour Party is ready. We have our 63 candidates, we have some excellent candidates, and we have done work to motivate the workers not to take things for granted, because that's what happens when you get a level of success over in a short time. Suddenly, it's normal. So, Let's talk about the success, Dr. Chang. If I were asked to be in the cabinet, for example, I'm sure national security would not be at the top of my list. Now,
The People's National Party, the People's National Party, they were saying openly and boldly that, listen, you know, these people taking the credit, they shouldn't be getting the credit. That was the conversation, that the credit should go to the JCF, not to the government, not to you as minister, even though you would have taken on this Herculean task. What is your response to that in our election season where you're seeing results as it relates to crime reduction?
Well, I think every Jamaican would understand that that comment was facetious and of little value. It was a political comment. But there are some intelligent people who wrote it. One editorial did it, which was kind of amazing, because these were the same people suggesting that because we had no policy, our plans were inappropriate, and therefore we should leave government and I should leave the ministry. We repeated publicly, which is why I can say we know we are responsible for the success in the field, because we went out our way and designed a plan and articulate that when we get to certain points, it'll lead to significant improvement. Among that was the expanded police, improved training, improved resources, and indeed, we track it, you realize that when the police numbers got to just about under 14,000, which is the target we're going for, we begin to see a decline in violent crime. During that time, they were not only recruiting, but they were training. Expanded training program, especially in terms of development of police officers. So you had a small decline in 2020, in 2024, 2023, 2024, we had a 20%, and we saw a dramatic decrease as we moved into 2025, because by then we now have all our officers were recruited. We're not only seasoned police officers trained in specialized areas from operations, intelligence, public safety, under all the sections of the information that the police was required. The new leadership had emerged. We did officer training and human development, and we now had a new commissioner of police coming from after General Anderson, who had a series of young officers from the level of deputy superintendent up, who demonstrate the level of professionalism that is unequal in the history of the police force. So we have no apology to say we did the job, yes, and we know we'll get credit for it. Those who are trying to limit that exposure are the usual naysayers who have a kind of organic bias against the Jamaica Labour Party government. They attack the leadership, they have no policy to bring to the table, and then they try to divert successes. The police are fully aware of the challenges we face from the same public people and the commitment we gave to, in fact, improve their working conditions.
So what does that mean, Dr. Chang? Does that mean that...
Now, a comment I'd like to make is that the fact that they can say that and seem to sometimes get away with it reflects a policy of the Labour Party government that is the country will appreciate and the police force appreciates. We equip them, but we allow the police to operate independently of political interference. Several of the leaders of the police force have gone to the PNP. We knew that. We have kept politics out of the force. They function independently, autonomously for law enforcement. We set the policy, we provide the equipment, and they're allowed to function as police officers. That's why so much, okay, it's the police. It didn't appear overnight, it could have happened. But you're suggesting now that if we did nothing, the police would have succeeded. The country knows that is foolishness, absolute foolishness, not even comment on it. So the policemen were always committed to enforcing the law, but they did not have the tools, they did not have the numbers, they did not have the quality of the environment to work in. We corrected that, and so they succeeded in doing their job.
So I've been having a conversation, Dr. Chang. Dr. Chang, I've been having a conversation, and, the Jamaica Labour Party, you were saying that you are sharing the success because the policy is implemented and the force is actioning the policies. Now, somebody said to me in that conversation, is Dr. Chang now going to look at how he will incentivize the police officers so they can do even better? What do you say to that person, Dr. Chang?
Oh, well, I did that. I did that already, and we started the process, which we will work at. First of all, incentives in terms of compensation comes from the in the economy. It was not publicized. I don't use that kind of activity to do so to try and make cheap political gain. But I spent many hours in 2024 when we were doing the final negotiations for the police in the pre-March budget. When I sat with them and we worked for many hours in the Police Federation office, I sat with them. Later on, I had Mr. Keith Duncan, who was chairman of EPOC. So we worked together. But the policemen are not irresponsible. So I know we can work with them, and I can say this publicly. They are not irresponsible individuals, especially leadership of the Federation, none of the police leadership, either the officers commanding or the men and women in the Federation. And we had discussions and looked at the possibilities and where the economy was and what we should do for the police. So we have created a whole new framework for police compensation. How we will move that will depend on negotiation and discussion. But we created a brand new framework. The old police compensation policies, when a policeman retired, they retired into poverty, which was a lot of the kind of allegation of impropriety in the police, because to give them a little benefit, they would be given allowances. So a policeman basic salary was on $1 million per year. Essentially. So when he retired, he got less than maybe $600,000 per month for pension. Although his take-home pay at the time was maybe near to $2.5–3 million. We have made the take-home pay starting at that level, at near $3 million a year, which is allowing a policeman when he retires, where it has nine increments. So by the time he retired at 25, if you remain a constable, he will be up the scale 9 points, and therefore his pension will be a little bit more meaningful. I'm not saying they're rich. We'll never say that. What we have done is create a sensible framework for compensation. And I sat with them, worked out together with the Federation and then Chairman of EPOC, Mr. Keith Duncan. And the Federation officers, I'm sure, were comfortable that we were sincere and that we made a valiant attempt at giving them better quality compensation up to the level of senior officers. And we'll sit with them again this year and work out a program based on the new structure that will, in fact, ensure they get a reasonable level of compensation.
We have less than a minute, Dr. Chang. But I
said before, we will not allow them to lose any of the purchasing power. That's the first step, and we build on that as we go on now.
All right, thank you, Dr. Chang. We have less than a minute, and I know you're expecting this question. What can we expect on Sunday 1, and what is the seat count you're looking at as GenSec from the JLP? 30 seconds, Dr. Chang.
Sunday, the Prime Minister will indicate the direction in which he's going. I'm sure of that. I don't know what his final numbers yet, but he will indicate direction that we go. And we'll have a comfortable majority in Parliament. I will give you exact numbers at a later stage. But the Labour Party will enter the election confident that the people of this country respect and appreciate the work we're doing and respect the leadership of Andrew Holness, and we'll have a comfortable majority going into the next government to, in fact, continue the process of building Jamaica and make it a peaceful and prosperous society.
You're good, Dr. Chang. Thank you so much for joining us. That was our Minister of National Security, Deputy Prime Minister of Jamaica, and the General Secretary of the Jamaica Labour Party, giving us a one-on-one here on Lead Story. Thank you for joining us. After this, of course, you'll have the news.